Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Happy Heading Nowhere podcast. My name is Steve, and I'm really glad you found me. Really glad you're here. I'm really glad to be here after a lot of time talking about getting this thing going. Here we are. Thank you for making it. I'm glad we're here together. First off, before we get going, I want to say thank you. A big thank you to the team at Liberated Brands IT, who gave me this cool microphone. Very cool gift that I got. And it just really cool of you guys to do that. We had many great years together. I miss you guys, but thank you for this support. This is the microphone I'm going to be using every time. It's actually the one I wanted to purchase, and it was so perfect that you guys got this for me. So thank you again. I appreciate each one of you. So the podcast, let me start by sharing a little wisdom my wife gave me when we were talking about what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do, what's going to be the content, what are we looking to accomplish here? And she just told me this, hey, remember, you're always more interesting when you don't take yourself so seriously. And she knows me well. I can get a little intense sometimes, get a little in my head. So let's make that a ground rule, okay? I won't take myself too seriously if you don't. And we'll just do our best to kind of keep that in check, right? So what are we going to do here? Why should you listen to me? Why should you care what I have to say? Well, you shouldn't. I mean, really, you don't have to, right? Not necessarily, at least. Hey, take what makes sense to you. Discard the rest. And, I think it's going to be best if you just treat me as somebody we're sitting down, a friend, a colleague, and we're just going to have some coffee, or maybe we're going to have some cocktails. I do like both coffee and cocktails. So whatever you prefer. And sometimes we're just going to chill and hang out, talk about what's going on around us, in the world, in our lives. Easily enough, all you have to do is listen. That's all you have to do. But I know your time is valuable, and I'll always try to make what I'm sharing with you worth it. So what's with the name? What's Happy Heading Nowhere all about? Well, it starts with the tagline that I have on my banner on my blog that says, "Where deep thinking meets life's detours." And that's the gist of it. Just like all of us, I have detours. I have things that happen in my life daily, sometimes multiple times daily. Life can change really fast, and life just sometimes happens to us. No 2 days are the same, but it's how we respond to what's happening that matters the most. It's not what happens, but how we handle it. The Stoic philosopher Seneca says this. He says, man is affected not by the changing events, but by the view he takes of them. So it's our perspective on things that matters the most. So we'll be talking each week, thinking deeply about life and how no matter where you are or what you're going through, you're going to be okay. Maybe right now you aren't okay, and that's okay, because you'll be okay. I promise. And maybe right now things are going really well, and that's great. And I hope that there'll be information here that'll help you keep it that way. Because when we're doing well, we can't let up. We have to keep learning. We have to keep growing, because, if you haven't figured it out by now, I have news for you. If things are going well, just wait a few minutes, wait a week, wait some time, and things won't be going so well very soon. I mean, it's just the way of life. There's ups, there's downs, there's struggles. So that's just a fact, right? Either way, wherever you find yourself, I'm invested in your success. I really am. I'm here for it. I want to see you succeed. And that's why I'm doing this podcast and blog. I also have time. Recently, I was just laid off from my job. I mean, technically it was a layoff, but after some discussions with my boss, I decided that, now is the right time for me to move away from that position. And so I was laid off, and it was the right thing for me to do at the right time for the right reasons. And it was the right time for the company as well. So it made sense after 20 years to have that change occur. Some of it was in my control, some of it wasn't. So it was perfect. It was perfect. It was a perfect balance of the knowing and not knowing, right? And so here I am. I have the time to do this podcast and blog, and that's why I'm doing it. To invest in myself and to invest in you. So what about the name Happy Heading Nowhere? Well, where it came from is it was something I wrote about my relationship with my wife when we had met. I felt really, I felt deeply in love with her. And at a certain point, I just wrote to her, or I wrote in my journal, I'm just really happy right now. And I'm heading nowhere. I'm not leaving. I've got a good thing going. And so that's where it started. But then it became a little bit more as I thought about that phrase, happy heading nowhere. And here's how I break it down. Happy is just a peaceful contentment. Happy is kind of one of those words that sometimes happiness is related to our circumstances, but in this case, I define it as a peaceful contentment. That's how I mean it. Then heading is a direction, a steady course. The compass is headed true north, and so that's it. My direction is solid, and that's what I want for my life. The nowhere could be interpreted as a negative, as maybe mindlessness or wandering or aimlessness. But no, it's not. It's about an attitude of being okay wherever you find yourself. You don't have to be going anywhere or looking for something or wanting more to be okay. Ambition, desire, sometimes those can get in the way of things that are actually the deeper needs we have. And so I think that those deeper core values are more important than that ambition or that desire. So I like to keep that in mind, right? The happy, the heading, and the nowhere. I'm peaceful. I have a solid direction, and I'm okay wherever I find myself. So that's a little about me, a little about the podcast, the blog, the name. And right now it's just me. And I hope to have guests somewhere along the line to discuss the topics of personal growth and development, leadership. That's the goal, at least. So let's see where this leads. And finally, it's not lost on me that this week in particular, there's a little bit of an intensity around this week with the elections and that happening in our lives. That creates a little uncertainty, a little tension. So let's talk about that for a second. I just want to remind you that there are things that are in our control and things that are out of our control. So as an example, voting is in our control. It's something that I did yesterday, marking down the sheet, taking it to the post office or to the ballot box and dropping that in. That's in my control. But once I let that go, the outcome, how other people voted, how they or didn't vote, that outcome is out of my control. So you have to detach yourself from the outcomes, whether it be an election or many other things in life. You can't control the outcomes. You can only control your part. And so hopefully that'll help you understand or help you deal with uncertainty. You can do your part and the rest is not up to you. And regardless of what happens, regardless of what happens in our lives, the very next day we'll wake up, the sun will still rise, time will still march on. But the most important thing is, and that I need to be concerned about, is the type of person I am. And you need to be concerned about the type of person you're becoming, your values, your character, the example you set. That's what truly all matters. But I'm pretty convinced that this is the one constant across all the world's religions and philosophies, is that who we are on the inside really matters. Are we happy, peaceful, content, regardless of the circumstances around us? Are we heading on the steady course? Do we have true north? Do we know the direction is certain and that we're solid? And are we okay no matter where we are, no matter what circumstance we find ourselves in? Even if we aren't sure what the future holds, are we okay with the nowhere? Are we open and mindful of this present moment and what it can teach us? Okay, that's it. Show number 1 is in the books. And so glad to get through this. The first one is done. First one's always the hardest, right? Now it's a piece of cake. Hope it gives you a little flavor and taste of what's to come. Hope you guys will like and subscribe or whatever we do with these podcasts, and listen next week to show number 2. If you liked it, or if you just think it's going to be interesting and you want to see what happens, spread the word. Tell others about it. I'd appreciate that. So until then, see ya. Take care.